want to do something about the world situation, each of us needs to look within, because it's when we change our consciousness to a consciousness of love and trust and the sense that everything's interconnected, that the consciousness of the whole world will change. So each one of us can actually seed that change in the world. And that's an incredibly empowering message for people. And actually we offer the space here for people to come and experience that for themselves and then go out and create planetary change.
What inspires me about the Findhorn Foundation is our audacity and our hope and our optimism in attempting to build a model of sustainability for humanity. I think that's an incredible task. It's a huge thing to attempt. Sometimes I think we're insane to even try, and sometimes I'm completely inspired by what we achieve.
People come along all the time and say, what's the difference between now and then being somewhere back in the 60s? And I could say really easily that the spirit of the place is exactly the same.
This place started from 3 people who were following their deep inner promptings, connecting, with what was true for them in the moment and following that. So we didn't plan all this. It started just like life by people taking their steps. I suppose that the big difference is that every step that they were taking was based on this deeper inner connection.
What we're trying to do is help people on possibly the longest journey that there is from the head to the heart.
Well, when Eileen and Peter Caddy and their 3 small boys and Dorothy McLean arrived here in November 1962, they never dreamt that they were beginning a community, an education centre and an eco-village that is now 46 years old.
The essence of what they started with was working with one's intuitive self. What is that intuitive part of yourself saying? And you could hear that in the shower, you could hear it on your surfboard, you could hear it sitting in a silent space.
I had great expectation being here for what I've read, what I heard about, but what I found here is far beyond my expectation. I found a real community of people like walking into the path of spirituality and happiness.
The
Experience Week is people's introduction to not him over there, but, us.
Thank you very much.
In Experience Week, you get a little taster of lots and lots of different things. For me, what I really connected with was quiet and trying to listen to that inner voice that had given me the original experience.
Often here in Findhorn we talk about the inner and outer gardening. So when we are taking out the weeds, we think of what are the weeds inside of us that are ready to go. When we are looking after the flowers and watching them grow, we think what are the things, the buds that are ready to open in ourselves.
This is a place of experiential learning. It's not theory. You actually get a chance to come here and put these things into practice in your daily life.
A good example of what I found here in Findhorn in transformation of my life. I was not able to value the importance of my family, of my kids, of my wife, and I was too focused on the business.
We run courses today, month-long courses on what are both the mental, the emotional, the physical and the spiritual tools that you need to integrate into your daily life. And they are really immensely practical.
One of the things that I noticed that I have learned here and that we also teach one another and is very much part of our educational programs is the importance of really being present to what we do. Because it's so easy in life, isn't it, to start a task begrudging it, or to be doing something and while actually thinking of something else. So we are encouraged to really have a positive attitude towards whatever we are doing.
We here demonstrate and educate for a new way of being in the world.
Findhorn, years and years ago, started educational programs. Most of them were around spirituality and group work, but then we actually started to think about what is it to live sustainably. And we started to look at our buildings, we started to look at our food sources, we started to look at our economy, and we developed all these wonderful tools. People were interested in those just as much as the spiritual tools.
This is the Living Machine, a sewage treatment plant which is treating water from inside of the houses. It comes in at the top end where it's dirty until it comes to clean water at the end.
We need to break these caravans down because they're here since the 60s and we want to build some new eco-houses. And we're doing it together with the guests because it's also like a team building exercise and it's really a lot of fun too.
Since I arrived here, I learned that if it's not fun, it's not sustainable.
One of the aspects of our life here is to acknowledge that there is intelligence in all life. And as we are working with one another's intelligence, we are also trying to work with the intelligence that is in nature. And the fact that we are developing an eco-village is just a very clear consequence of that.
I realized over the last few years the need to reach out towards the region, towards Moray, Scotland, UK, the world. We have been working with the United Nations system for the last 20 years.
Little by little, I think everybody carries a little bit of Findhorn in their heart, and then they can grow their own garden around where they live, with the people they live.
We're not a perfect model because we're an evolving model and we have our own challenges, but what's really inspiring is how we deal with those challenges.
And when we open the heart to a deeper level of consciousness and awareness, that builds relationships, it cares for people more, it cares for people in the workplace, it cares about the product, it cares about the consumers, it cares about the planet. I mean, the heart does those things.
People at work notice the difference in me. If I occasionally maybe have a sharp word, people will say, oh, that's like the old Pete, and they mean before I came to Findhorn, and all the wonderful things that have followed me from that.
The model we have created here, it's going to be more and more of inspiration for those who are redesigning societies and cities and towns.
In a period where there's a lot of hand-wringing and disempowerment, it is a project where people have moved beyond the politics of protest to actually create something that models what they would really like to see. That is, in a sense, a model of what the world could look like if we pull all the different dimensions of sustainability together in one place.
I see people come through here every week. Ordinary men and women, children, youth, business people, businesses themselves, and I see them begin to see the world in a different way.
Findhorn is wonderful in giving people an opportunity to actually question their existence, the very core of their existence.
Slowly finding my way into teaching and to maybe building up a community in my place and seeing that this is possible, so this is sustainable, and finding other people like me, is it possible to create something for the future.